Okay, guys, we've got private matches. Let's roll the intro right now. Private matches. Let's go.
Welcome to UPLINK.
Boom. What the heck, guys? What?
I honestly can't believe. I'm still kind of in shock a bit. It's like it's I don't know. It was like Christmas morning for me. Like when I was a kid, when I found out, I just literally was borderline like shaking of happiness.
Yes.
So good.
My group, we've been lobbying for it for going on 3 years now. Then this game just comes out and all of a sudden we got private servers, private matches, and yeah, I mean, our civil wars are just going to go nuts. Yeah, there's already so many ideas that are being floating around, doing a all-support squad against an all-bomber squad, and interceptors versus X-Wings, and yeah, it's just crazy what we're going to be able to do with this.
So on the podcast today, I was like, okay, getting it together. Who wants to come on the podcast? Let's rock and roll. Well, first, we were going to have Sammy on the podcast, and then I caught a cold, and that got put on hiatus, but it was perfectly timed because now we can talk about this. So I've got SammyBoii on the podcast. I've got RogueWolffe on the podcast. And then from the 181st, we've got Hank on the podcast, who, congratulations, guys. You are the official winners of the first Creator Clash.
It was an honor to be there. And yeah, thanks to Wolf for helping us get into that.
Well, the thanks goes to Sammy and Akros for having us. Thank you. It was a great thing.
Hey. I think it's thanks all around to everyone. It was a big team effort. It wasn't, Ark and I had a hand in setting it up, but we couldn't have done it without all you guys playing and all that kind of stuff. So I think everyone's a winner.
Yeah. If only Rogue hadn't been practicing on us, and maybe we would have been able to go up against you later. But Sammy put in a great effort.
I was actually so glad you advanced to the next round.
Yeah, it would have felt real bad.
That would have stunk forever. Actually, rewatched that footage early this morning because I was going through recordings. I was like, oh, he got to the next round.
Delete it.
It was great. But yeah, let's jump into this pilot briefing here. As you can tell, I'm still recovering from the cold, but the show goes on. Humbled. That's the word of the hour for all of us on the team. The outpouring of support you've all shown us has been truly humbling. We set out to make Star Wars Squadrons. The team had a singular vision, make the next great Star Wars experience. We wanted to honor the classic games that came before us and provide everything to our players from the start in a nice, neat package. But then we showed the game to everyone, and the reception was so much more than we could have hoped for. It only became more intense after release too, so we couldn't help but start working on something a little extra. Whoever announced that they were going to be that Squadrons wasn't a live service lied. So I'm so pumped for this. Really, really excited. This legitimizes and makes esports in Star Wars Squadrons viable. So Sammy, could you tell us a little bit about the process you guys went through on the Creator Clash and what that's going to look like going forward now that we have private matches?
So a lot of the planning of the Creator Clash was down to how do we do it? How do we, we can't go head to head, or we kind of figured out that you can, but we didn't really know that you could do that beforehand. So a lot of the planning process was literally what's the fairest way to score, how do we do all this, and then is there any other issues we need to work out with, for example, guys were matching up with Avenger 1 and all those guys were clearly going to win pretty much every single game that they play, so it's kind of unfair for the if one team matches against them and the other doesn't, that's kind of unfair. So there was a lot of things that we had to plan out that really extended the sort of planning phase, which we essentially have been working on the Creator Clash since the first trailer for Squadrons. As soon as that came out, we started working on ideas and everything, and it was a very, very long process, and this is just going to make that so much easier because everything that we want to do can be done now. We don't have to mess around for weeks thinking, how are we going to do the scoring, how are we going to do this. We can literally just say, all right, we're doing a tournament head to head first. You play one game and whoever wins moves on. We can just do such simple tournaments like that. as well as just like fun little events we can do. We can set up like races and stuff. We can have 10 people in a lobby all using an interceptor and just make a course and make them, race and see who wins. We can do... I'm pretty sure you can do like 1v1s and stuff, because it actually said you can do from 1 to 5 per team in the private matches. So
yes,
there's just unlimited things we can do now, and it's. I know to the general player base, it's probably not. I mean, it's still good because there's the public custom matches as well, so that's kind of just great for the general player base too. But I think for the competitive scene and also just for content creators and stuff, it's just like opened a gateway to just so many things that we can do now, which is amazing to see.
Definitely. And as a little background, so we've got 2 phases for this announced pilot briefing. We've got the November update, which comes with the new map Foster Haven from the game's first prologue mission. We'll also get new components, boost extension kit, ion rockets, prototype piercing torpedoes, and anti-material rocket turret. And then in December, that's when we get the super hotly requested stuff, like the 2 new fighters. We're getting the B-Wing, Hallelujah, and the TIE Defender, which I'm super pumped about. Big fan of the bombers. And then custom matches. So I think it's best to just like read through what this says. And of course, above all else, well, maybe beside the cosmetics of the childs, there's something that's been greatly requested to be an addition to the game: custom matches. We were so excited from the moment we heard about your community-run tournaments to actually getting to see them in action. So we knew this was something we had to provide in some way. Custom matches will allow 1 to 5 players per side across 2 teams to play on any of the now 7 maps in both dogfight and fleet battles. There will also be some additional restrictions and modifiers that you can change. These include things like hull shield damage modifiers, changing capital ship's health, restricting certain starfighters, and other tools to help you change how you play. With this, there will also be custom matches server browser for you to search through private matches made by your friends, as well as public ones made by strangers. Like, this is exactly what we wanted. Rogue, how do you feel about this?
When I first read it, I was like, that's not even custom matches light. I honestly didn't have any hope for private matches in Star Wars Squadrons, because they said so many times they're not bringing a live service or additional content to it. And given the experience with Star Wars Battlefront 2, I mean, like Hank said, we've been petitioning for that for basically since the game came out. And now to read that they will provide a server browser, that you can tweak certain things, that you can go 1v1, which will be huge for taking captures as well, because you can then, just bring in a friend and explore the map. That's awesome. It's full-fledged, in my opinion. It's what actually many other games should have in terms of options for private matches or for custom matches. So it's awesome. It's just phenomenal. Thank you, Motive.
Yeah, this is the dream. When we heard that private matches were coming, I was like, okay, we'll be able to pair up against friends, right? And then I see this, and I'm like, what? Yes. Finally, because this is exactly what's needed for the future of like Star Wars Squadrons esports. Like, this is amazing to see.
Yeah, it's great that they could have literally just made it so that it's only 5v5 and it's just that's all it is, and that still would have been fantastic. But
yes,
the fact that they went full custom with, you can change the health of the capital ships, you can do only one class, you can do whatever you want essentially. That they didn't have to do that, and the fact that they went that extra mile to do that on top of just literally just adding private matches alone, that's just like the cherry on top. They really didn't have to, they didn't even have to add private matches in the first place, but the fact that they just did the little extra bit just shows that they really do care about the community, which is it's exactly what we've been wanting.
Over there spoiling us, Motive.
Yeah.
And I think this will be so huge for the longevity of the game as well. If you think of Starfighter Assault, we had never the biggest clan out there for Starfighter Assault, but a good amount of people. And eventually people stopped playing because we couldn't match up against each other anymore. That was the most fun we had, actually. I think Hank will agree. the civil wars we did amongst ourselves, going up against friends, was just awesome. And you could do that at the beginning of Battlefront. But then it stopped.
Yeah, we eventually became the masters of Q sniping. We were just, I mean, there were points in time where we had 12v12 with the Rogue 181st Civil Wars, and it was just the leader of one group, the leader of the other, 3-2-1. We got on the right server, picked one that wasn't heavily populated, and we were able to get some really good Civil Wars. But now we can just set up a match, announce it, and just tell everybody, hey, 3 p.m. on Friday, be there.
Definitely.
And off we go. It
really opens it up for the future. I know a friend of the podcast, Boomstick, was saying before, like, if they had added private matches from the beginning, he would be doing weekly tournaments since the beginning. And now we can have things like the Creator Clash World Tournament, or we can have or the Star Wars Legions World Tournament, the Operation Ace Open Tournament, as well as the Invitational. Like, we have a whole host of things available to us now, and that's amazing to see. It, like you said, it's opening up the future. It extends the lifetime of this game, I think. Before, we were like, okay, yeah, we can keep on playing like this, a bunch of randoms, and if we want to play against our friends, we have to really do some work towards it. But now, like, if we want to do a Wayfinder, Civil War kind of thing, we can all hop in there and have some crazy fun. Like, everyone has to be a support ship and then go that way.
There's all kinds of crazy stuff you can do.
Yeah,
it's going to be so fun.
So, Rogue and Hank, could you give us a little bit of background on what you guys, or your experiences with the community and what you guys done with the Battlefront games, and then what you're looking forward to with the new addition to Squadrons?
I'm probably one of the older gamers in this community. I'm 53, and I've been playing Battlefront for a while. And when Battlefront first came out, the most current version, the 2017 version, I found out that I was pretty decent at Starfighter Assault, and eventually that led to getting a group of guys together, and we started getting battles with other clans in Starfighter Assault. And when the matchmaking came out, we couldn't do that anymore. So, like Wolf said, the community kind of died off. People went off and did their own things. I was actually at Star Wars Celebration in Chicago in 2019, and I cornered Ben Walk. and I mean, he was very nice about it, but I was lobbying for the Starfighter Assault guys, and it's like, we need private matches. We need to be able to get into our own server and do our thing and just, match up against, us guys. And like Wolf said previously, you come into there's a group of 10 of us, and we go into a match and just completely run roughshod over whoever's there. And that got boring. It just, the same map over and over and over again. So, we've been asking for it. We've wanted it for a long time. And when this announcement came out, it just opened up an entirely different realm to keep our clan together. Everybody's excited. We're ready to this game, in my estimation, and I'm probably overblowing it a little bit here. I was like, this could go a decade, man.
Yeah. If the community supports it, the community was supporting the game in an esports way before it was actually supported in the game. So going forward with that, we basically got keys to the kingdom given to us, and we can make the game what we want to make it now, which is awesome to see. So I can definitely see, like you said, this game having a lot longer lifespan than it normally would have without it.
And if it's only us 20, 30 people playing, if it's just us, we can launch a private lobby as long as EA Motive keeps the servers up. We can play the game until they bring out a sequel, maybe.
That's the best part about it, I think, is that it no longer relies on the player base. It's no longer like, for example, at one point in Australia, Battlefront 2 was essentially dead. You couldn't find matches because no one was playing. But with this, I know just in my own Discord server, there's always going to be 10 people that will play. So I could just play this for 10 years just with the 10 of us. So it's, the game has gone from possibly a 6-month lifespan. Like, it could have been by March, April next year, it could have been done. So now it essentially has unlimited amount of potential.
Definitely.
Don't tell anybody, but I'd pay for DLC. Just saying.
Me too.
Oh,
Me
same.
too.
It's like, already I was seeing there was definitely a lot of people in the Star Wars Squadrons community that were like, man, I love this game. I love the format of the game, but man, it's getting kind of stale. And I saw a lot of people that were in Squadrons go over to Battlefront and start playing some more Battlefront. And that was very interesting to see. And I think now we'll have a lot more surge in the reverse, and then it'll balance out again. But hopefully we can make it such an esports spectacle kind of thing that we can keep that player base up.
That's the thing, because like, if you have a really strong competitive scene and it's really interesting to watch, that only makes more people want to play it, and then you can just sort of build the player base through that. It's a pretty cheap game. It's cross-play. It's got everything it needs. That if I'm just some random guy and I start watching randomly, maybe I'm just a Star Wars fan, I haven't really played many games, and I see these really cool competitions and I start watching someone, I'm like, oh damn, that looks really fun. Well, I might buy the game now, and it's those type of people that you can bring in, and not only will private matches, help with the competitive scene, but because of that, it's going to literally help with the overall sort of position of the game, because if one thing's sort of thriving, then the other side of it's going to be thriving as well.
Definitely.
I think it will be good for new players as well, that you won't always have the top of the class squads storm through public lobbies, because that's not fun for either side. I mean, we're far from that, but all these squads that are really, really good in Squadrons already, whenever we match up against them, they beat us pretty good. And to think that these guys can actually play against other elite squadrons in private servers instead of just pomp stomping, that's a big plus as well, because if you go through the Reddit, the subreddit for Squadrons, there's quite a few posts actually of new players saying, well, it's a great game, but I can't do multiplayer because everyone is just killing me. I mean, that's basically an experience you make when you are new to a game, but I think this is on a different level, because especially since the matchmaking kind of sometimes puts level 5 guys against 140 guys.
Yeah.
It's not fun.
Yeah, I've actually got a few of my own subscribers and moderators and stuff in my own server who, before the game came out, they were like super keen for it. It was like really, a lot of excitement. And then I remember around the time that it sort of actually launched, they were sort of, a lot of them were busy and they couldn't play straight away. But then 2 weeks after the game was out, they were kind of like, oh, should I even play it now? Because everyone's going to be so much better than me that as soon as I join a game, I'm going to get absolutely destroyed. So I was talking when the announcement happened, I was talking to a few in my Discord, and they were just saying like, this is amazing, because now, for example, if I'm streaming, I can just do a 5v5 with my own subs, and there's no, we don't have to come up against those really, really good teams that, don't get me wrong, it's good to match up against guys like that and try and get better, but it's not always what you want to do. I don't always want to get just wrecked every single game, so that's just great for everyone. And not only for us, but for them. They're probably sick of just destroying everyone else as well. They probably want some good competition. So
give me the challenge.
Yeah, so now they can have their own. You can get the 10 best players in the world and go in the same lobby now. So it's a win-win for, like, literally no one loses from this whole situation, which is absolutely perfect.
Unless you're paired up against Rogue, and then you will lose.
Sorry.
Yeah.
You gave us a fight, though. It was a close game.
Barely.
I don't think so.
Well, the second game, I think if you pushed a little longer, you basically could have evened that 1-1.
Yeah, the second game was better. That first game, you literally could not have beaten us any better than what you did. I remember the game finished and we all just sat there like, Well, what do we do now?
Don't sell yourself short, Sammy. It wasn't like it was an easy thing for us. I mean, we had to push. I mean, and it was there were some tough matches. I mean, got to give it to you, man.
Sammy, you and your insane numbers over there.
But actually, one thing that you just said, Sammy, is actually a thing I haven't thought of before. We could also, besides tournaments and stream servers and stuff like that, you could also set up noob servers, like on the Squadrons Discord. They could have like a noob lobby for new
beginners
players
welcome.
to match them up against each other. That's actually a very good idea.
That would be pretty cool, actually. I wonder if they will. I doubt they will have that ready, but it might be worth trying to sort of lobby to get them to add like a level limit or something. So you're only allowed to join this server if you're below level 30 or something. That would be pretty cool, because then
that would be.
Yeah, then you could just set up whatever you want. You can, because obviously there's those like the public lobbies. Like you could just set one up with, if you're a low level, you can set one up and just sort of hang around for a while and get some friends in, and then the rest of it will fill up with players who are that level as well. So there's definitely a lot of potential there.
Well, that would be an interesting question to ask them. Is like what are some of the requirements that you can set up in the private servers? I mean, I know you can do capital ship power levels or whatever else, but is that going to be part of it?
It could be a limitation of the game, because they did have, like, at launch they had the difficulty with the matchmaking based on the ranking. So that could be a possibility if they don't have it, but it's definitely something that would make a lot of sense if they do add it, because I mean, Squadrons is really great. It's got great gameplay, fun, but it has a really high floor for like the learning. So it's definitely one of those things, like if you stop playing Squadrons for a bit, you're gonna suck. Like for the Creator Clash, we actually would jump into dogfights and play like 5 or 6 games of dogfights first before we hopped into our training sessions, just because you have to warm up.
Yeah. Well, even I actually was playing with my squad yesterday, just because we hadn't played since the tournament, and we said the same thing. We were like, holy shit, it's been like a week or two and we are terrible. Like, we've lost every bit of skill that we had. So I think that's the only real issue that I have with, it's not really an issue with the game, but it's like something that just kind of sucks, is that the skill curve is just so high that the very new players compared to the best in the world, it's such a huge gap compared to in, say, Battlefront. Like, if you're pretty new to that, you played for like 5 hours, you're probably not going to be that much worse as a trooper than the best players, you know what I mean? But in this game, it's like there's just they do things that I couldn't do after a year of practicing, and that's the thing that kind of sucks for the newer players. A lot of players will kind of like that. For me, I personally like, I want to improve, I want to sort of get to that level, but for a lot of players, they just want to play with mates, and joining a lobby with level 200s and you just can't even move without dying, that's definitely not going to be fun for anyone, I don't think.
Yeah. The practice mode is something I've been spending a lot of time in, because I want to know how to, I want to, get better at drifting, and
I suck at drifting.
That, and the retro drift, I've been kind of figuring that out. I mean, I'm not the best at it yet, but I understand the concept, and it just one of those things. It's practice makes perfect. But like you said, Sammy, it's some guys don't want to open the game up and go straight into practice mode. They want to find their friends and just go. So. Yeah.
It's been a humbling experience, I think, for all of us. When you come from Starfighter Assault, you're like, oh, I'm an ace pilot. I got this. No. I edited all the footage from our different matches, and thankfully there was a learning curve for me too, and I actually climbed up. But the first matches when I edited them, I was like, okay, you sucked. You suck.
The thing with
Big
Squadrons,
time. I'm so glad my mates from the Rogue 181st carried me.
You improved in one round, from what I saw. So it's just like
Hank is such a nice person. Thank you, boss.
Well, that's there was three rules that I set for being in the Rogue 181st. You had to be a good pilot, you had to play for the team, and you couldn't be a dick. Those are
And
the
it's
three
still
rules.
true.
It is still true.
yeah, the thing with Squadrons is, yes, it's super hard, but man, is it so rewarding when you see yourself get better. And you definitely see that. Something that I want to see going forward are some dogfight tournaments. I think that could be really fun because it's just straight skill. I mean, I would love to see a dogfight tournament on Yavin because that's just like pure, unadulterated. It's you versus the other pilot and their ship. There's nothing else.
Yeah.
That and how long do you want to spend in the gas cloud? My recommendation, not long.
I'm starting to really appreciate Yavin as a map. I'm not going to lie. I hated it.
I actually really like, for me in fleet battles, the ending where the capital ships kind of like get really close and they're like side by side, almost like the old pirate ships sort of like lining up against each other. I love that part of it. It's so like if you're on defense, you sort of push them back and then you can just fly straight in and get straight on offense. I love that ending sort of phase of it. The start of it I always find a little bit hard, but I love the end of it.
Every map has like, you learn the map and you can really start getting into it. It's great how everything pairs together. So going on, we mentioned it in the beginning, but what are you guys' thoughts on the content that's being added to the game?
So initially, when I read the pilot briefing, I didn't even see custom matches. I just saw the other stuff, and I was just ecstatic about the new starfighters and all that, let alone the private matches. But the new starfighters and the new map, and I think especially the new components. I think that's actually probably the part that I'm most excited about is those the like shield piercing torpedoes that you can shoot through the shields, like that stuff like that changes the gameplay, and it's going to really change the meta of how you attack a capital ship and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the private matches alone, the actual content itself is just awesome as well.
Yeah, and the some of the things that I saw were first off, the two ships that they brought. I remember when the game first got announced and they announced what starfighters are going to be in there. There was so many people asking for these exact two ships. It was just like we need the Defender.
Yeah,
and
I love the BWE.
We got to have these two things. So and apparently they listened. I mean this whole thing. The components, one of the components that is in there, the boost auxiliary. There are some people out there that do some ridiculous things with boosting. It's like they're skating across the map. They go one direction and then turn another, and they're flitting around all over the place. Give them a boost auxiliary for the bomber. There's going to be some crazy stuff you're going to see. Absolutely ridiculous things. So I really want to learn how to use that as well. Like I said, I'm practicing my boosting and drifting and all that stuff. So I'm excited to strap one of those onto a bomber and see what we can do.
I'm very excited for Foster Haven, I must say. I replayed the prologue when I learned that it's Foster Haven.
I need to do that as well.
It's so interesting because they said in the pilot briefing that you can either take it to open space or weave through the corridors or tunnels. I'm not sure how they exactly phrased it. So I'm pretty curious if will the Empire be on one side and the New Republic on the other, and you have Foster Haven, this stronghold in between.
Yeah.
So you actually have to go through the tunnels to get to the other side,
That
or
would
you
be
go
really
up top
awesome.
or you go low. Lots of possibilities, I think. It's a very different map from what we have, if this is true, that you can, approach from two angles, either in open space or through these tunnels. If you could actually fly through the tunnels to get to the other side and dogfight there, it's going to be crazy.
That would be amazing, yeah. That would be so good.
That'd be so awesome.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm excited. Those dogfights on that map would be really fun. So, question for you guys. do you prefer dogfights or the fleet battles?
Oh, rough one. Well, fleet battles has its good moments and bad. Dogfights is definitely a lot of fun. I guess I'd have to say fleet battles because there's there's an objective, a push and pull. You have the amount of comms and where that hey, we got to do this thing or we don't get that. And whereas in dogfight it's more of a, well, first off, it's unranked, so there's not a whole lot of pressure there. So yeah, I guess for relaxation, in air quotes there, relaxation purposes, I think the dogfights are like, hey, let's just go do that to decompress. Whereas if you want the intensity and if you get a good match, you want the intensity, then the fleet battles is the way to go. So I guess I didn't answer your question. I like them both.
Yeah, for me, it's I don't know. I'm more of a fleet battles guy with the team. Like it's such a fun game mode to play, and like it's so team based. Like we've had a few games where none of us are like individually really skilled at the game, but as a team we just work really well together, and we've come up against some really good players, but they're not working as well as a team, and we're just playing really strong as a team, and it works out. And those are the really, really fun games. But like Hank said, the dogfights are a bit more relaxing, and I can just jump. If I've got half an hour to play, I can just jump on and play a couple of dogfights and play solo and stuff. So I'd say fleet battles are probably my favourite, but I'm still a fan of dogfights for sure.
For me, it's actually two very different games almost, because it's the same game mechanics, it's the same ships, it's the same maps, obviously. But when the game came out, I actually only played dogfights. I hadn't played a single game of ranked fleet battles when I got invited to Creator Clash.
Learning curve was high for that guy.
So
he did it, though. He did it.
Yeah, thanks to you guys. The thing is, dogfights feels very different. Like you all said now, it's just you jump straight in and have a good time. While fleet battles is all about team play, and I enjoy that the most. I think fleet battles is my favorite because when we all play together, if you have a group of 5 people, it's so intense and communication is so important, team play, and I really like that.
Yeah. I greatly enjoyed my time with the fleet battles in the Creator Clash and Operation Ace, but I think usually when I hop in the game, I go straight for dogfights. That's just something I enjoy more. It's one of those things, like, it's not a huge time commitment, and it's fun too because you can feel yourself improving really quickly, which I greatly enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's my only issue with fleet battles is like you gotta sit there for a session and play. You can't really. I mean, you can just play one game, but if I'm going to play fleet battles, I'm sitting there for 2 hours to play. If I'm just jumping on quickly, then it's always dogfights for me.
Mm-hmm. And then final thing for this episode before we close it down, what do you guys see for the future of Squadrons going forward? What are your hopes now that we've got basically the biggest ones for the game we've got now? What do you guys see going forward?
That's a tough one. I literally like 3 days ago, I didn't expect we'd ever get another update, but after doing this, like, I don't know, they could do more updates. I have no idea. As for just the general future, I think that like the competitive scene is going to start to sort of flourish a little bit more, and it'll almost like carry the game a bit, because obviously the player base is fairly small, and it's not really the type of game that's like a casual game. It seems like most people playing, there are obviously some casual players, but most of the people playing seem to be like, grinding their ranks and trying to improve and stuff. So I think with more tournaments and stuff like that, I think that's going to become like the lifeblood of the game in a way, where most people, not all, but most people are going to be, practicing for tournaments or just generally trying to rank up and get better and stuff. So yeah, all this content is just really, I mentioned it in one of my videos, but it's secured the future for the game. Like there was no real future for the game that I saw, and now I'll be playing this for years now.
Definitely.
Yeah, I don't know, but I know that for one thing for sure, the level of excitement in the Rogue 181st is pretty high. And I mean, we were off doing our own thing after the boredom of Starfighter Assault just got to be too much. We everybody just went off and did other things. But now we're, you know, the squadron's actually coming back together. It's you know, everybody's excited to play together. We've already planned a Civil War for this coming weekend. We had one last weekend, and it's just a Q snipe the way we're doing it. But I suspect that it's going to solidify squadrons, by that I mean clans, and it may generate a lot of interest on people grouping up together and it'll increase the amount of squadrons that we have in squadrons. I think people are just going to be, you know, the excitement level, just the sheer volume of my Twitter exploding yesterday, and everybody going bonkers about this thing. And I watched the subreddit for Squadrons went from, I think it was 46,000 to they may be close to 50 now. I suspect that there's going to be a lot of squads showing up, and you know they're gonna play together. They're gonna look for people to play against. And the thing about that is that they can find somebody that is at their level, and they can have these knockdown, drag out fleet battles that are just, you know, epic. And so I think the flurry is going to happen in December, and we'll see what it looks like next March, I guess. And then depending on how the success of this update goes, I suspect we'll probably see more stuff. And I can't wait. This is super exciting. It really is.
I personally think even if we don't get any updates, this kind of makes sure that Star Wars Squadrons will be played by those who to whom it was intended in the first place, to the starfighter pilot dreaming people that had this game in their hearts. And because they can now match up with other people and play with their friends in private matches and stuff like that, I think it will be the hardcore Starfighter fans will play this until a new game comes out that, you know, caters to the same group. And like you said, Hank, I'm just glad we can keep on doing competitions, tournaments and stuff like that to keep the group together. If you're from a squadron, from a clan perspective, this is perfect.
Definitely.
Because even if no new players are attracted to the game because the game doesn't get any updates anymore, the thing is still there for us. We can still play. And that's awesome.
Right. Yeah. It's got the core down very well. It works. It's consistent and strong. So I'm super, super hopeful for the future. I definitely see the game surviving a lot longer now that we've got private matches, and the future's looking bright for Star Wars Squadrons. I'm super pumped for it. I hope I can definitely see a future if the esports community is super strong and vibrant. We could possibly see more content, like Hank was saying, to the game. We saw the strength of the community outpour for private matches, strong proponents being Boomstick and Operation Ace, and the creator clash with Ark and Sammy. Like, it's a bright future. This podcast, I mean, we mentioned private matches in every episode of the Uplink. So I'm super, super excited for the future.
And I think the good thing with this game is that they didn't exaggerate when they said they would deliver a finished game. I mean, yes, there were a couple of bugs that were annoying, but all in all, this is probably the smoothest launch I've seen by a game in a while. And for esports, it's very well balanced as well. And the last tweaks they did really solidified that as well. Because in terms of esports, it's important that, I don't know, the Empire and the New Republic are almost balanced. Otherwise, you know, the team that gets the Empire always wins. Or the Republic.
Yeah, that's very true.
And I think they did that very good, in my opinion. I mean, there are some balancing issues, of course, there always be. People will always find a way to abuse certain things. But they've been on top of this as well. I mean, look at the the last update they reworked the AI paths and basically stopped AI farming.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to how they move forward with this. They're like Wolf said, there's little things that they're going to be fixing, and I think they said that they're going to be doing some ranking adjustments and matchmaking adjustments coming up in the next update, and it's just going to get better. I mean, the game's only been out a month and a half.
It's crazy to think about.
It's brand new, and the amount of excitement that people are showing for it, just it's really cool. It's so cool. One thing before I forget, through the Creator Clash tournament, I was flabbergasted at the kindness and of the community, and how people were respectful of each other, and it was just a breath of fresh air to see something like that. And I got to give it to you guys that it was very heartening to be part of that, and it was a pleasure and an honor. So thank you very much.
It was definitely great to see with there's always the chance with, say, 16 YouTubers that there's going to be egos involved and people complaining about oh, that's not fair, we should have won, whatever. But every single match, it was just everyone would play their games. If you lost, GG guys, well done, blah blah blah, and everyone was just so nice and humble to each other, which it was amazing to see, because we knew it would go well because everyone involved we sort of know them all and they're all great people, but there's always that chance that some people are going to get sort of salty and whatever. But no, everyone was so great throughout it, so it was great to see.
Lore Star's a superstar. Mad respect for that dude, man. Oh
yeah.
Tell him about that one, Wolf.
Yeah, I was in round 2 when we went up against Avenger in his squad in the first game, and while we were still playing, Lorstar would check in at the Discord. Loso was our opponent that round, and ask you guys, Sammy and Akros, that we get another match instead of that. And that was just phenomenal. And not only that, but he came back to my stream to let me know that we get another match, and that was just awesome. Thank you.
What a legend. Excellent, guys. Thank you once again for hopping on the podcast. It's always great to have you guys on. Thanks for dropping in, Hank. Good to have you.
Oh yeah. Thanks for letting me. I appreciate it.
It's gonna be a good future for Star Wars Squadrons. Stay tuned to this podcast for continued coverage of all things Star Wars video games.